Hello from the lower Mt Antero trailhead. Today going to be hiking 13er Cronin Peak. For a full trail guide on Cronin Peak, you can check the link in the description below. Nothing quite like getting your feet soaking wet 1/10 of the mile into the hike. Starting the hike up here, this is the 4x4 road to get you to kind of the upper trailhead if there really is one. This is a pretty rough road. I've never tried driving this in my car, but I just need the mileage and vert today. So certainly if you have a 4x4, worth a shot. Cronin Peak is a 13er. It's a Centennial, which means top 100 peaks, ranked peaks in Colorado. Expecting this day to be just about 12.5 miles and 4,500 feet of elevation or so. If you cannot make it to the upper trailhead or upper parking area, you can just park along the road. There's a handful of spots to do that. Just make sure you're not blocking the road. It's gonna be very hot today, so I'm already in t-shirt and shorts, which is pretty rare to start a hike for me. I'm not gonna show you much of this road. It's pretty boring, pretty uneventful. So I'll give you some B-roll here, but we'll see you in a couple miles. Just under 3 miles in here and finally at the upper road split, so you can see there's a car parked. Really not a ton of room to park, maybe 2-3 cars if people aren't parking like assholes. So behind me you can see your first view of Cronin Peak. First up, you're going to want to cross the stream here, which actually has a pretty easy crossing in most years because of the big boulders people have placed there, which is really nice. So from this point on you have about 3 miles to the summit. And most of this will be off trail, but I'll show you where that starts in a little bit. So this is pretty much the route you follow for Mt Antero, minus the last couple of, I don't know, 2-3 miles. But the last time I was here, early winter, light covering of snow, just not as pretty. Pretty beautiful up here today. After crossing that creek back there, you're gonna hike for about another mile, gaining about another 800 feet, and then finally leave the road. According to my watch, 3.82 miles from the start. Little cairn here, this is your view, and you're going to start heading into the woods and eventually up that way towards Cronin Peak. I actually met a hiker on the way up who told me about another route to go up Cronin, which basically you can go to Antero and then head over. I'm not super familiar with that. Maybe I'll take it down if it looks like it's a better route than what this turns out to be. We'll see, but you do have some options on how to gain it. I would say this is probably the most common way. Once you get into the woods here, you shouldn't be going too much longer than about 1/3 of a mile apparently. The best advice I have for this point is to have a map or a GPS track to follow, because this is kind of a mess in here, and once you get to, I don't know, about 1/3, 1/4 of a mile in here, you're gonna have to cross the stream that you've crossed a couple times, and yeah, I'm really not too thrilled about that given the water level right now. Whenever I get into these bushwhacking situations, I always feel like I have this sixth sense to pick up this trail that's been used by people for hundreds of years. And in reality, what I'm likely just doing is picking up game trails, and they probably have similar travel routes through the woods, aka the path of least resistance. But I'll keep thinking I have this special ability. All right. So this is more or less what you're looking for. This kind of open field. Beautiful view of Cronin Peak. So as you can hear, there is a creek down in here. I think there's actually a little bridge over there, which would be sick. But in either case, general objective, and then to the top. Whenever you have an off-trail kind of situation, it's always kind of like a huge gamble chocolate. Luckily for me, this one was pretty short. So it was like, hey, go straight and you'll figure it out. And it's also nice in this situation where the trail significantly opens up to a massive field, which makes it a lot more obvious. Not super ideal option, so just gonna have to get my feet wet again. Across the creek. Now gotta figure out where to go next. And this is exactly where you want to be. So next up, gain here and then cut left for the easiest slope to the ridge to the top of Cronin. There's a couple of cairns a while back, but I have not seen anyone since. Looking down, so I kind of zigzagged there out. You could easily just go straight up this slope here. I just didn't think it looked too fun. But yeah, next up, I'm gonna gain this slope, pop up to the ridge, hit the summit. From a mileage perspective, I'm at a little over 4.5, so like 4.6, and 2,500 feet of climbing so far. I'm going to take this ridge down and over, and then take the zigzag Antero road. You could easily come back the same way you came up this way. I'm just looking to add some more mileage and also really kind of make a loop out of this, avoiding stream crossings if I can. Well, I avoided the scream mess for a bit, but that's what I've been working up. And that's what I have ahead of me to gain the ridge. Only about maybe 200 yards, but when you can't even stand still on it, it's not super fun. Whew. Finally on the ridge. That was a sufferfest getting up here, but it is absolutely beautiful. I'll show you some views, but obviously you can see behind me. Just really pretty in the spring. Snow melting. Damn, look at these lakes over here. Give you guys a quick look around. Princeton, Antero, Tabawash, Chavano, and for the first time today, on the ridge at least, true summit of Cronin Peak. This part looks pretty steep. So far the ridge has gone at like maybe medium to high class 2 in sections at the very highest. Otherwise pretty much low class 2, class 1. If you have no idea what that means, I'll link that as I always do in the full description hike guide. Based on elevation, this last bit is going to be pretty steep. Looks like maybe a couple hundred yards and a couple hundred feet of climbing. So here we go. Summit of Cronin Peak. Ooh. Summit of Cronin Peak here. I think this is like 80-ish Centennials down. It is gorgeous up here today. I soaked it in a bit, just had a snack, refueled, and yeah, it's just contemplating my next move. I was originally going to go down the same way I came up, but after thinking about it some more, I just don't think that's a good idea. I got some issues on the injury front I'm trying to nurse, and these slopes behind me are going to be a lot more mellow. So I'll show you what that looks like. It's going to be extremely straightforward. To the summit, 5.38 miles with 4,300 feet of climbing, so a pretty brutal ascent. If you're going to bring a dog on this one, I don't think that's a problem. Just make sure their paws are okay on scree and talus, because that's the majority of this. And yeah, you can have them off a leash. Of course, I leave that up to you, as if you know your dog to be well behaved, but you're not in a wilderness area or anything, so there's no regulations for leashing either. From the summit, I'm just going to take this slope down, follow this all the way over to where the road is there, and then take the road, zigzag down back to where Antero starts. Big LOL at me for thinking this was a grassy way down. Absolutely just a scree fest. But I'm committed, so here we go. Great look back at the descent, and then your way up. Almost on the uphill part of the return to the Antero trail, and then taking the road down. Back on the Mt Antero road, and unless you want to go tag it, which is actually not a terrible option, back to the car would be left here. You're just going to follow this road back down. Please don't cut any of the switchbacks. That is no-no. Alright, back at the initial stream crossing here. Just about 10.5 miles to this point, and I have about 3 back to the car, so 13.5-ish if you do the loop I did. If you just came right back down the same northeast slope of Cronin, it would probably be around 11-12 miles. In either case, a lot of elevation gain. I had about 4,700 today. You would have about 4,000 if you did the other way. This area, I think, is beautiful at certain times and very barren at others. Right now it's pretty as hell, as you can tell. So overall, a pretty nice hike, and definitely happy I got another Centennial in the books. As always, for a full trail guide that is free with tons and tons and tons more information, you can check the link in the description below, which goes to my website. If you found this video at all helpful, entertaining, stupid, whatever, give it a thumbs up to help support the channels through virtual Sherpa gear or donations. You can do that in the links in the description below as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next adventure.